What's that going to be like format-wise? What are you looking for from the offense?
It'll be situational. We're going to put them in a bunch of different situations coming out, red zone, overtime, things like that. Things we haven't been able to address yet this spring. I'm looking, continuing to evaluate who the playmakers are going to be, how much volume of the offense we've mastered, and how much we execute so that we can focus on moving forward and how much we can put in.
Where are you at on some of those benchmarks right now?
It's a slow process, and today we made a lot of mistakes. We threw a lot at them today, so that goes hand in hand, and that was our approach after spring break was going to be to add volume and then master those reps. So we coming off today, we have some work to do to improve on the mental part of the game, but that always comes with reps. Guys will get better with each and every rep.
Coach has also talked a lot about physicality. How do you pair that with the mental reps?
Well, that'll be good to see on Saturday. And really our very first live scrimmage situation with a high volume of tackling. It'll be good to see now, like I said before, who the playmakers are, who's going to break the tackles, who's going to make guys miss, and who's going to play with a level of physicality that's indicative of what we want to play with. So we'll get a good indication again on Saturday. That's again always a process. Our guys understanding the physical finish we want, and we're getting better each practice.
Mike, this is kind of off topic, but you got all these facilities and resources here. Take me back to Sacred Heart. Was that your first gig as a full-time coach?
Yes.
Tell me about Sacred Heart.
Sacred Heart was a great experience. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Besides being the quarterback's coach, we were also in charge of field operations for the softball team. So I remember laying out the tarps and setting up the pitcher's mound and lining the fields. So that was, I enjoyed the experience there. It was a good group of guys. From there, I got an opportunity to go to the University of Michigan as a graduate assistant. So I wasn't even there for the season. I was there during, I think with the women's softball season. It was my time there because I did a lot of my work on the field. But, that's always part of the process of growing in the world of coaching. You got to pay your dues and work up through the ranks.
Coach, Janchik said the defense won scrimmage today. Do you have any issues with that?
They won today. We'll come out tomorrow or on Saturday and
so he's telling
fight
the
our
truth.
butts off. Oh, he's dead on.
Okay.
They beat us up today, but tomorrow's another day, and it's a snap and clear mentality, and we're not packing it in because they beat us today. We're going to come back on Saturday and give our greatest effort.
You mentioned playmakers earlier. Do you have any guys that are standing out as you're evaluating them? Do you see that potential to be playmakers in this offense?
The guys that we've talked about all along are doing a good job. Marlon Lane, Rajon Neal are doing a good job. On the perimeter, there's been flashes from Alton Howard, Devin Young. We've seen Jason Kroon make some plays, and Vincent Dallas make some plays, and Cody Blank make some plays. The big thing we stressed, today's Thursday, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The big thing we stressed on Wednesday, every day's Saturday to me, just so you know, every day's game day. The big thing we stressed yesterday on Wednesday to our guys is playing with consistency. We need not just playmakers, not just guys that have flashes, but we need guys that are going to play consistently and make plays consistently. Those quote-unquote go-to guys that you have in your offense that you can get the ball to, and that's what we're still trying to identify.
I talked to A.J. Johnson yesterday. He had a pretty successful short yardage package last year. So it's probably not coming back this year. What are your thoughts on just Wildcat and things like that in general?
One step at a time. We have to master what we have in before we can look to tweak and add wrinkles with things like a Wildcat package. So we got to execute inside zone on 3rd and 1 today instead of having the MA that we had before we start thinking about Wildcat packages and things like that.
Coach, right now, I think on Tuesday you guys had 2 scholarship running backs available for you. What's that like trying to work through limited numbers of time right now, just managing reps and stuff?
Depth is always an issue at every position. Again, that's college football, that's spring football, when you don't have the incoming class here yet and you're not developing those guys. But guys are doing a good job. Those walk-ons, Winston Williams and Summerhill and those guys, they're doing a good job. So, we talked about Maxim number 2 today. Look for them, make the breaks, and when they come your way, score. Well, for those guys, for those walk-ons, that's their opportunity to make a break for themselves. And those guys stepped up and made plays, and it's good to see what they're capable of doing because those are a vitally important part of your program.
What about Alden Hill? Has he been able to take advantage of that situation?
Alden's getting better. I love Alden's approach. Alden has a great attitude. He is in here doing extra work on his own, coming in the evenings, asking questions, very relevant and poignant questions. So Alden's getting better. He is a player that his attitude alone is going to make him improve. And when you add that to his ability, he's going to help us.
When it comes to Marlon and Rajon, the 2 most established guys, have they approached spring like you've wanted to see them and attack it?
Yeah, our entire team has. They don't come in here with any preconceived notions. They know across the board we need to improve at everything, at technique, at execution, at understanding our assignments. So they're working hard. It is amazing. Coach Jones has commented, and it's evident to me that our guys want to learn and they want to win, and they're coming in here all hours of the day, all hours of the evening, asking questions, trying to get better.
Have you seen those 2 specifically be as physical as you want them to be?
Yeah, we made that a point on Wednesday too. Coming off of Tuesday's practice, we wanted to run with more physicality, and it doesn't just start with the running backs, it also carries over into our receivers and their ability to catch, tuck, turn, and be physical with the ball in their hands, understanding that if you catch the ball on 3rd and 7 at the 5-yard mark, you have to lower your shoulder and run somebody over. And again, I don't know how much of practice you guys watch, but we focused on that a lot today. The contact phase of running, we call it, and we focused on that quite a bit and took a step forward today.
In terms of install, can you do more of it once these guys get accustomed to the practice pace and the practice tempo?
That's usually the way it works.
Have you been able to do that have you been able to pick up?
We threw a lot at them today, and there were more mental errors than I would have liked. That's typical. We need to improve upon that before we can start to install more.
Yeah.
We're kind of halfway through spring right now. What do you want to see from your quarterbacks the next half before the orange and white game?
The same thing I want to see in the first half. I want to see them manage the offense. I want to see them protect the football. I want to see them make what I call the pitch and catch plays. Again, as we talk about, we've been emphasizing a Maxim a day. As we emphasized Maxim number 2, and taking advantage of the breaks. Well, for us as a quarterback, that's particularly relevant. When we have an opportunity to play pitch and catch, we have to be successful. If there's a wide open receiver, we got to complete that football. We can't have drops and we can't have missed opportunities with inaccurate throws. So I want them to continue to progress in that regard and have a firm understanding of the mental part of the game.
So you do think, from practice 1 to now, how have they done with that consistency as far as hitting their targets?
They're getting better.
To us, we see the individual parts. They do look like they're starting to hit the receivers too, running better routes. There's better communication there, and less balls on the turf.
The timing and spacing is getting better, and those are the 2 most important parts of the pass game. And as our timing improves, our ball location's improving. I think that's a natural result. So yeah, you're right. There's been less balls on the ground, and we'll continue to work on that.
In talking with Justin Worley, he said the number 1 thing on his to-do list the rest of spring was to improve his leadership. How do you feel he's doing, as well as Nathan, perhaps, in that role with this team?
Well, they recognition of the need to improve is the biggest step when it comes to leadership. In practice, I can create a drill for them to work on their 3-step drop. I can create a drill for them to work on throwing on the run. It's a little harder for me to create a drill for them to work on leadership. We do with things like the Ball Olympics and things like that. But I always tell those guys that to work on the skill of leadership, the number 1 thing you need to do is recognize opportunities to lead. And the fact that he realizes that's a necessity for him is a step in the right direction. So taking advantage of those opportunities when they present themselves is what he's focusing on, and we're improving. I like their approach to that.
When we spoke a couple of weeks ago, you thought that the spring break came at a good time. How did you feel the offense retained what they learned in practices 1 through 6, bringing it back this week?
Well, And we always expect a little lag on the first practice, the Tuesday practice, and that's why, again, we didn't throw a lot at them on Tuesday, and we used today as a heavy volume install day. And one of the indicators of how into it they are is how much they're communicating with you over spring break. And guys are texting us, guys are calling us. That shows you that they're into it. Their minds are on football, and that's what we like.
Okay, guys.
Okay.
You want one more? Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. Hey, just the way that you guys teach out here on the field is something that I've been noticing. Can you talk sort of about how hands-on you guys are and just sort of the staff philosophy there?
What do you mean in terms of how we teach?
Just, there's a lot of instruction, a lot of hands-on. You guys seem...
We're teachers. That's coaching. And since way back when I recognized that my future of playing football was limited, and I recognized that pretty early on, I knew I wanted to go into teaching and coaching. And we, in many ways, we're in the field of education. I think so much of coaching is what you do in the classroom. So much of coaching is what your guys are able to absorb. And your product is what you see on video. So we're going to make sure that we approach the game from the standpoint that we're going to focus on details, and we're going to improve on details, and we're going to coach every little thing that we need to improve upon.
When you guys are that hands-on out here on the field,